Hello, beloved ones. Welcome back to another video by Mindful Manifest. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that looks like this. My internal peace is not dictated by external chaos. So we're going to talk about that and learn as much as we could about it. Um, Before we start, I'm going to do my disclaimer that the information shared in this video is for educational and personal developmental purposes only. It is not medical advice, it is not psychological advice, and it's not substitute for professional care. So please do not start or stop any medication, treatment, or supplements based on what you learn or hear in this video. Always consult with a licensed medical professional or a healthcare mental health professional for guidance specific for your needs. So my intention is simply to help us understand ourselves better. So how the mind works, how the psyche moves, and how the body and mind work in harmony so we can continue growing into healthier, more mindful versions of our own selves. And I'm going to look at my notes while I'm talking to you. So apologies for not directly looking at the camera, right? Awesome. So Um, let's start our conversation by looking at some theories, psychological or philosophical theories. And the first one we're going to talk about is going to be Stoic philosophy. But before we talk about the Stoic philosophy, let's just quickly talk about what emotional independence really means, right? So, emotional independence does not mean that we do not feel hurt anymore, or we don't feel sad anymore, or we don't love people, right? Or we don't feel disappointed. All of this is still valid. All of this is still going on, right? But what it means is what I said in the beginning of the session that my internal peace is not controlled by external chaos. Now, our emotions come from our interactions, right, with people, also our values, and also our inner kind of grounding and how grounded we feel internally. And it's not coming from other people's mood or choices or their behavior. Um, so that emotional independence or um, that unshakable feeling, it's an inner steadiness. It's not from outside world. So now toward our Stoic philosophy, um, which basically says control what you can. Now, I always bring this example of like whenever you start playing a new game, if you're a gamer, you pick up the control, and especially if it's a new game, what you want to do is you try the controls, right? Like, let me see what this controller can do, or what is and isn't in my control in this game. Now, it's the same with the daily life and our interaction with people, right? Some things that are in our control and a lot of things aren't in our control. So, Stoicism teaches us that we suffer most when we try to control things outside our power. And that peace comes from focusing only on what is inward, like our thoughts and our actions and our attitude. Some examples of when our emotions are dependent and how that emotional independence shows up in our life. So imagine you're in a good mood, right? And then someone speaks rudely to you and they behave rudely to you. What happens? Your peace instantly just collapses and your day is just ruined. Um, how we think about this is like they're upset, now I'm upset. So this happens because our mind automatically gives other people a lot of power over our emotional state, right? Now, I have seen that this happens a lot with close family members a lot, but it can happen a lot with other people too. So like strangers. So how to prevent this is before reacting, you gently ask yourself, is this within my control? Is what's happening within my control? Um, and if it is, well, you're going to choose a calm reaction instead of a harsh reaction, right? And if it's not in your power or in your control, what you're going to do is you're going to release it. You're going to let go. Some mindful practices that can help with this practice or this scenario is the stoic pause. The stoic pause says pause for 3 seconds. One, two, and three. And then you're going to breathe. And one time, just breathe once intentionally. And then remember this that their behavior reflects them, not me. Now, that's one view and one technique. Another technique or another maybe theory is the cognitive behavioral theory or CBT's view of this problem or this issue. What it says is that thoughts create feelings, right? Our thoughts, whatever we think in our mind, they create our feelings, our emotions. Now, CBT says that it's not events themselves that upset us. It's the thoughts that we have about those events that make us upset or even happy. So, example of emotional dependence in this scenario is like a friend cancels on you. And what happens? We automatically start creating stories in our mind that they don't care about me anymore. And what happens? Sadness. We feel sad. We feel abandoned, right? But the sadness comes from the story that our mind just made, not what happened. Now, preventing this reaction looks like this. You challenge the story. The story is going to be made by the mind. What we do, we challenge it by questioning. One of the questions you're going to ask during this time is, what are three other possible explanations other than they just don't like they don't love us anymore or they just don't care about us anymore? Um, one explanation could be that they're tired, right? Another explanation could be that they're overwhelmed. Something may be happening in their life. Something may have come up in their life. And that they still care about me. The mindful practice here is thought reframing journaling, which is one of my favorite go-to methods that I strongly recommend a lot of my clients to journal and to reframe their thoughts. Now, what are you going to do for this practice? Very shortly explained is that you write down the trigger, what triggered you. You write down the thought. What was the thought that came after that? What was the feeling that came after the thought? And fourth thing you're going to write is a kinder or more realistic interpretation. This is the reframing part that happens. Now, what it does, it trains our mind to self-regulate before emotional spiral that can happen. Um, so another thing that another theory or viewpoint on this situation is the acceptance and commitment theories, the ACT viewpoint. So based on ACT, emotions are just like the weather. They're not our identity. What it means is that ACT teaches us that emotions come and go just like the weather. And imagine that you're the sky, you're spacious, you're stable, and you're bigger than a storm. You're holding the storm, but you are not the storm. You're the sky, you're the space that holds the storm. Example of the emotional dependence in here is when someone's frustration makes you anxious. Now you're feeling their mood taking over you and your entire nervous system. How you're preventing this, instead of resisting the feeling, what ACT or acceptance and commitment theory teaches us is that you're going to acknowledge it without merging too much into that feeling, right? Without merging with it. So you acknowledge it. You're saying like, oh, I'm feeling tension, in my chest maybe, and that's okay. Those are emotions, and emotions move. They come and go. They change shape all the time. Emotion, right? Energy in motion. The key for acceptance is that you accept it, just like its name, you accept it instead of entanglement, instead of getting entangled or merging with the feeling or the emotion. You accept it, you acknowledge it, you notice it. Now, the mindful practice for this scenario, based on ACT, is a practice called leaves on a stream technique. It's a type of mindfulness meditation technique. By the way, I have that mindfulness meditation guided meditation on my page. I will link that video below. So after this, if you're interested, go for it and listen to it. It's very calming and it helps you let go of a lot of thoughts that are bothersome, basically, thoughts or emotions or memories. So, just a quick kind of explanation on what it is so when an upsetting thought comes up, you imagine placing that thought on a leaf, and then placing that leaf on a stream, and imagine it drift down that stream and go away from you. And by this, you're not fixing the problem, you're just letting it pass, just like leaves on a stream, or just passing cars. Imagine you're watching passing cars and you're just an observer. What it creates is emotional distancing and some spaciousness to breathe, to be, and to relax. Another theory is the non-attachment theory to outcomes, and this is a mindfulness and sometimes a Buddhist psychology. So in Buddhism, they talk about this non-attachment theory a lot. And what this view says is we suffer when we cling too much or too tightly on how things should be. There's a lot of shoulds and musts, and this is how it should be in our mind about the things around us, about how people should behave, about how the world should operate, and now, peace comes from loosening our grip a little bit and letting things go a little bit. Um, it's not easy. It is much easier said than done, but um, some examples of emotional dependence in this scenario or from this view is you want someone to behave differently, and that's not always a bad thing. It's sometimes we want someone to behave kinder, right? We want someone to behave calmer or more thoughtful or more mindful. But when they don't behave that way, what happens are our mood just collapses. And again, this happens so much with close family members. And whenever this scenario happens, how we prevent that emotional dependence or feeling collapsed, our nervous system completely collapsing, or feeling sad or even disappointed, how to prevent that is shifting from they should act this way to People act according to their level of awareness, and I don't need to internalize it. Understanding that creates huge freedom and acceptance. It just frees your energy. The mindful practice in here, suggested practice is the non-attachment breath. What you do, you take an inhale and you affirm, I allow. And then you exhale and say, I release. Now, this practice resets your body's tendency to cling, which is a very interesting practice. Another viewpoint is internal family systems. This is one of my favorite systems or like favorite um, theories. I really enjoy learning about this. It's called the IFCs for short. The self-leadership, what comes to rescue us. So the internal family systems or IFS teaches us that inside of us we have different parts. And these parts make up our internal family. So based on this theory, based on what this teaches us, there is the anxious part inside us, there is the hurt child part, there is the perfectionist part, and there is the strong inner self part. Now, when we get emotionally dependent, what happens is our younger, unhealed part takes over. So, example of emotional dependence is that, for example, your partner is quiet and a young part inside you feels scared or abandoned. Now, how to prevent this based on internal family system? You are switching from blending, which is becoming the emotion, to leading, observing it, right? Now, what you're saying to yourself is a part of me feels ignored here. I'm going to take care of that part with compassion. And then you learn to soothe yourself instead of needing someone else to soothe you. Now, a mindful practice that is suggested here is placing your hand on your heart and saying, I am here for you. I won't abandon you. And this creates an inner emotional safety. And in general, hand over heart is a very self-soothing gesture. It instantly creates calmness, and it's almost like it tells you that I'm here for you. Don't be afraid. You're not alone, and it's okay. Now, another theory or kind of a viewpoint for this is the non-violent communication kind of theory or technique, which is the NVC, it's called for short. And it focuses on our needs versus our reactions. Now, this theory says that every emotional reaction comes from an unmet need. Basically, when we react to something, behind it somewhere, there's an unmet need. So when we understand the need, that what need is, the emotion softens. Now, it doesn't say that the emotion goes away, it just says it softens and it becomes easier to deal with it. And it makes it easier for accepting it, right? Now, an example of the emotional dependence on this kind of scenario is imagine you feel hurt when someone is short with you, right? So what's underneath it is that maybe I need respect, maybe I need connection, maybe I need warmth, maybe I need stability. Now, how do we prevent this? Speak to the need rather than the reaction, right? So example is that instead of saying that you're hurting my feelings, try I'm needing some reassurance and calm right now. What is it that you need? And instead of what's happening. What it does, it prevents external chaos from destabilizing your internal peace. So I hope these explanations were helpful a little bit. And I want to also mention some mindful techniques to keep your peace unshakable. So, mindfulness is a huge, beautiful, powerful tool we have. Um, Especially when we're talking about our emotions and how to keep that emotional peace and happiness unshakable. So one thing you can practice is it's called the bubble of sovereignty, right? So what the bubble of sovereignty is that you visualize yourself in a soft glowing sphere of light, right? And other people's emotions stay outside of that light or that bubble. Now, this is your boundary. You set this boundary for your own emotional or energetic safety, and you only allow in what nourishes you, what's safe for you, what's peaceful to you. Another practice of mindfulness is daily centering rituals or something that you do daily to center and ground yourself. Now, it can be as easy as placing your hand on your heart or your belly and breathing with the affirmation that I return to myself. That's it. That's the daily centering practice you gotta do. Another one is emotional decoupling. So imagine unplugging an electrical cord from the wall, and that was connecting you or your mood to someone else, right? Unplug yourself from those people, uncouple yourself from that people, from those people who are now affecting you negatively. Another thing is name the feeling. Naming an emotion activates the thinking brain, now reduces the emotional reactivity. That's what naming the feeling does. It kind of dissociates you from that huge feeling. That usually helps. And the other one is called orienting practice. And what this orienting practice is, it can also be called like a grounding practice. That what you do is that you look around and you name five objects, right? And then you silently tell yourself, I'm safe. And this regulates your nervous system. Another practice is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique that you look around and name five things that you can see, name four things that you can touch, name three things that you can hear, name two things that you can smell, and name one thing that you can taste. What it does is it incorporates your senses, your five senses, to ground you, to bring you to the present moment, and instead of our mind and our mindset, mind space, and which is usually either in the past or in the future, not in the moment, not in the present moment. Another thing you can do is you set your intentions. Each morning when you wake up, set an intention. Today, I lead my emotions. I'm not led by others, right? Another one of my favorite one, and this is the last but not least practice that I'm going to introduce today, gratitude practice. Now, gratitude, what it does, it's like an anchor, right? It anchors you. Um, so think of one thing that brings you joy, independent of anyone's behavior. What's something that's just for you, and it brings you only, happiness and joy, and this anchors you internally. I hope this talk or today's topic was helpful, and I hope you find something that can help you find that emotional independence and feeling happier and more peaceful internally and become that unshakable self. Have a wonderful rest of your day or week, and I will see you in my other videos. Bye bye.